Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddy Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their interesting money stories. I am joined by the lovely Jenn. They are a regular. They are not like anybody else that we've had on this podcast because they literally have no job title because they do so many fucking cool things. So I'm going to let Jenn introduce themselves and we'll go from there. Jenn, it's so bloody wonderful to have you on here. Welcome.
Thanks, Maddy. Thanks a lot. Oh, it's great to be on your Maddy podcast. Yay. Yeah, I'm a regular. I do lots of different things. I am a performing artist. I am an activist. I am the founder of the International Day of Consent, which is on the 30th of November every year and has been since 2018, I think was the first one. And I run a business called Irregular Inc., as well as Irregular Arts, which is more my performing arts side of things. So, and what I do really is I took a decision a few years back now to really try to live by the maxim, be the change you want to see in the world.
Love that.
And that meant being completely, utterly myself and doing things, whether that's in my relationships or in my work or in my life, that are in line with my values. And I am not any kind of perfect person by any stretch of the imagination, but that is what I try to do through all my work.
I love that. I don't think that perfect exists.
No.
But you're very much a multi-potentialite like me, where we do lots of things, but we do it under one brand, one banner, and that is us. That's our personal brand.
Yeah.
And your personal brand is fucking amazing.
Thank you.
And I've been honoured to help you, like, to work, working with your messaging and the stuff that you've been working on recently. We've been kind of helping each other to shape our own things, which has been really cool. So I'm going to ask you, I'm not even going to ask you my money question now. I'm going to ask you, who is Jenn?
Oh, okay.
Like, as a person.
As a person, I would like to think that I'm well, you know those exercises you do where you work out your values so that you can state them publicly on your like business values. Well, because I'm being the change I want to see in the world, my business values and my values, and I spent quite a lot of time thinking about who I am and what I'm about, and I came up with these. So there's relentless kindness.
Love
I
it.
really, really try to live up to that. In that, who I am is I try to meet everyone that I meet from a place of unconditional positive regard, and expect them to be whoever they are and not come with any prejudgment. And then I've got playful curiosity because, like most ADHDers, I am playful. I like, I get bored if I try and do one thing over and over and over again. That's just like not going to work for me. And I like to use kind of humor and ideas and curiosity to explore all kinds of things. So, like, when I started in the business world, I went, right, okay, I'm going to learn from the experts how you're supposed to do that. But within, like a couple of months, I was going, well, I'm not going to do it like that. Let's find another way of doing that thing. And, so I'm like constantly unlearning what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
And that leads on to value number 3, which is no to normal.
Fucking love that.
I actually have a sign up on my wall up there that says fuck normal, and I know that swearing's allowed on your podcast.
Absolutely. I do enough of it myself. So every single episode that goes out is always explicit lyrics.
Yeah.
No, we don't sing.
Yeah, so the fuck normal thing is really like actually an actual act of resistance. Like I haven't always been as rebellious as I am now. It took me a long time. I'm a bit of a late starter. It was always in me, but I think that I've grown into it, and I'm now comfortable to totally be who I am, to totally be my neurodivergent, unmasked self, to totally be queer, to totally be genderqueer. I'm one of they, them.
You
I
say
home ed.
that like it's a bad thing.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Absolutely.
I'm taking the piss when I say
No,
that.
I know. But we know that
Yeah,
because we understand people's tones. But for people
yeah,
who might be listening, who might be
yeah,
going, oh,
absolutely. And yeah, like if and I mean, I remember back in the day. So one of the performance characters I've got is a character called Misty Valentine.
ooh.
MY as in mystery. STI as in, I probably better not say. And Valentine as in Valentine's Day. And now that you know that, you can look me up on my Twitter.
Brilliant.
So Misty Valentine is a drag queen. And I am a person who is, given that it's April 2025 while we're recording this, according to the UK Supreme Court, a biological woman. Um, I'm genderqueer. I don't identify as a woman anymore. But I was assigned female at birth. So it was unusual when I started doing Misty Valentine for a female-bodied, if you like, femme-looking person to be a drag queen rather than, people did cross-dressing like drag kings, but there wasn't really anyone mucking about very much with blurry, weird gender identity as performance. So
I think there needs to be more of that. I love it.
yeah, and that's I guess she's like a really great example of in answer to your who is Jenn. What I do is I question everything and
Yeah.
go, well, why can't a woman be a drag queen, or why can't a this be a that, and why do you have to do it that way? Let's actually, if I start from my values rather than from what the world is telling me I should do, I don't actually want to do a lot of things that the world is telling me I should do.
And we
And
all
that
know that
doesn't mean running out
needs to
and
go. Yeah, we know should needs to go in the fuck it bucket. It
oh
always
God,
goes.
absolutely, yeah. Should is a fascist, as a friend of mine says.
Yeah,
But
it is
it
shit
is
work.
that it's a personal rebellion against the system to be yourself, to show up not as a regular person, but as an irregular person. And not, okay, I'm sitting here with yellow and orange hair and I'm genderqueer and I'm all these weirdo things. That it doesn't mean you have to be a completely obvious weirdo either. If your authentic is, naturally coloured hair and your authentic is looking conventional, then go you, be that.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you've got to show up like a weirdo to be taken seriously in weirdo land.
Do you know what? Like, I like the whole weirdo thing is like is really interesting to me. Because I got bullied at school.
Yeah.
I got bullied pretty much all the way through my life because I was always the weirdo. I was always the one, like 15 years old. I was the one that was going into school with like turquoise streaks in their hair and like, safety pins down the side of my skirt. And like, I was the kind of weirdo punk girl that like nobody really knew or understood. I'm not even entirely sure that I knew or understood myself. It's just that I thought that if you were a punk girl, you had to dress that way. It's one of those should things. So I was kind of conforming in a way that, but actually, dyeing my hair gave me so much dopamine. So I've had coloured hair since I was 16, apart from my corporate years where I had pink underneath because I wasn't allowed to show it. So I would have my hair down, pink underneath, and then whenever I put it up, there was like this rainbow flash of like amazing pink. So I had to try and conform, and trying to put me in a box is like stifling and horrendous and just not really what I wanted to do. But it's weird because I was looking in my school yearbook the other day, and one of the questions that they asked you was, what are you known for? And my answer was being weird. And now I'm like, fuck yeah, I love that. And the other question was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And mine was, I want to be influential in whatever it is that I do. And I'm like, I feel like I've nailed that. Both of them. So,
you totally have, yeah.
It's all good.
Oh, I hate that question. I've got a 14-year-old at home, and people ask her that question, and I usually leap in when she's standing there going, oh, I don't really know, and go, well, I'm 54 and I haven't decided what I want to do when I grow up yet. So
I haven't grown up. I don't plan on doing it either.
No,
Like, I
exactly.
always say to people, I'm a 17-year-old trapped in a 41-year-old's body. Just
Totally.
because I'm quite happy being like, I mean, if anything, I would definitely go back to when I was 17 because I definitely had a better body then. Like, I'd
Mhm.
rather be like, I think actually being a 41-year-old trapped in a 17-year-old's body would be better because I'm a lot wiser and I was definitely a lot hotter back then.
Yeah, for me, I probably was too, but I think what I find now that I'm in my mid-50s is that my body won't do the things I want it to do anymore.
Can't put
And
your legs
that's,
behind your head anymore and that
yeah,
sort of thing.
well,
Yeah.
that, or, I mean, as a performer, I used to flounce about as Misty Valentine in stiletto heels the whole time, no bother. Now, Misty Valentine usually wears wellies, but that's partly because I'm
Nice.
performing at festivals. But,
I absolutely love that.
I just can't keep those stilettos on for that length of time anymore without really hurting myself.
So,
Not just going over on them, but
yeah,
it hurts my knees and my hips like it
I've
didn't
got
used to.
flat feet.
Mm,
So I've got flat feet, I've got misaligned hips, I'm hypermobile, and I again wearing heels. As a girl, you're supposed to want to dress girly. I mean, like I've always been a tomboy,
mm,
but I'm a tomboy who does like to wear the odd occasional dress,
mm,
and I wear makeup when I want to, but I can
mm,
quite happily not wear it as well. I'm not one of those people that thinks, oh, I'm totally minging if I don't wear makeup.
mm.
Like my mum always said that I was the only one in the family that actually could get away with not wearing any makeup. But I hated wearing heels. I can't remember the last time I actually wore a pair of heels. For me, like it's all about the shiny things.
Mm,
So like you've seen my shiny boots, haven't you? Like
yeah,
I'll wear something that looks girly, but I'll make it so irregular and so something that nobody else would wear, and people will be like, "Wow."
yeah,
And I always wear like really kind of big statement, bright colours. If I'm out speaking, like I'll be wearing something that's like bright green and leopard print or rainbow striped, or like, for me, it's about colour is my way of expressing myself.
yeah,
Gender is
yeah,
not.
yeah. I hear
Does
what you're
that make
saying,
sense?
and I mean, my gender journey is my journey's been a kind of peeling back of layers over a long period of time, but particularly over the last 15 years or so. And getting a diagnosis of ADHD when I turned the year I was 50 was a big one. And the gender queerness, I actually found today as we're recording this, I saw a Facebook post from 2 years ago where I said, I want you all to call me Jenn now, because I used to be called Jenny by everyone.
Oh,
Um,
I don't see you as a Jenny.
no, well, I don't anymore, but it was a real like, what? When I did it. And that was really a very sort of quiet coming out as not
Yeah.
binary, genderqueer kind of thing. And I'm not loud about that genderqueerness in the same
No.
way
Is
that I am about a lot of other things that I shout about. I,
there a reason
I,
for that?
um, what is the reason for that? I think there's a thing that is, you'll maybe know. Well, maybe you won't know this because I think you've well and truly worked through it. But as an ADHDer, I find it quite hard sometimes to use the label disabled,
Yeah.
even though society disables me. I go, oh, but I've got loads of privilege. I don't need you know walking aids or wheelchairs or hearing aids or that sort of thing. It's just ADHD. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to take space away from someone who's really disabled. And I guess my
That's
gender,
that is a little bit of internalized
I
ableism there,
know, isn't
isn't
it? And isn't it
it?
also, I mean, and I've worked through a lot of that, and now I do
Yeah.
take up that space. But I think
I
it's,
I used to be the same. So I
mm,
genuinely used to be like, I'm not disabled. And then somebody nominated me for Disabled Influencer of the Year, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe. And I had massive imposter syndrome. I
yeah,
was like, I can't be a disabled influencer because I'm not disabled.
yeah,
And then I thought of all of the things that actually I've got, ADHD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, autism,
yeah,
dysgraphia, discombobulation. autoimmune diseases coming out of my arse. Not literally coming out of my arse, but like annoyingly, I wish they would come out of my arse because then
That
they
would
wouldn't be
good,
inside
wouldn't
me.
it?
But they're everywhere, and I've got poor mobility because of my hypermobile stuff. Like my joints are basically screwed. I went to a gig with James last week, my husband, and we went to go and see Manic Street Preachers, which was amazing because they are so like politically active, and I just love like all of their messaging in all of their songs. They played If You Tolerate This at the end, and I bawled my eyes out.
No.
Like for the first time like I've ever seen them, I was like, this song has got so much more meaning currently because of all the shit that's going on out there.
Yeah.
And it was just anyway. But I was stood there. I was stood at the gig, and it was so packed. It was at Shepherd's Bush, which is like the smallest, tiny little venue, and we're all stood there like sardines. And like I need to move around, otherwise my hips lock. And I stood for an hour and a half watching them, and afterwards I had to unclick my hip. Oh, and I said to James, we're getting a taxi, we're not walking back. Like, not a chance. Like,
Yeah.
I just can't. And then it's things like that where I think, do you know what? And it's PMDD. PMDD is not a registered disability, but it is the most fucking disabling thing that I have ever had.
Yeah.
For those who are listening, PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's basically, if you imagine PMS like on speed and going a million miles an hour. For 2 weeks of the month, I don't really want to exist, and that's genuinely the truth. And it's, you know, I mean, I do exist, and I know I exist, and it's taken me years to get to the point where I can say to myself, Maddy, it's PMDD week. I publicly go out there and I talk about it being PMDD week, and when I say week, it's more like 10 days, and it's a bastard. But I go out there and I talk about it because I know that me talking about it helps me, but me talking about it also helps other people as well. So
yeah.
So it's like, I do get what you mean, because we're not physically disabled. We're mentally.
Well, you are physically disabled as well.
I am.
Like, yeah. I mean, I have physical things too that are, you know, but like in terms of the non-binary genderqueer identity, I guess there's a tentativeness around it. Again, in the same way, it's a bit of flipping internalized queer phobia, which seems nuts for me. But also it's that I am really aware, hyper aware at the moment of how difficult it is for trans women in particular.
Yeah.
And I lost a friend who was a trans woman who decided to unalive herself because it is so hideous out there for trans people in Britain in particular. And when you look at there's transphobia in the States is bad. In certain other countries it's bad, but in most of Europe it's not as bad as here. It is known as Turf Island, and this UK ruling that's happened in April 2025 has, you know, I spoke to a trans woman friend of mine the other day who's not left her house for 6 days because she's frightened. She's frightened that she'll be attacked or abused on the street.
I've got a non-binary friend in the South, and the South is fucking horrendous, and they are very serious. Like they were, say were being the operative word. They were very seriously considering moving to the UK. But after all this, you know, I think Trump is getting everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's not just Trump. The trans thing,
no.
you know, the trans thing. What people don't know is that actually in the UK we were number one in Europe on the league of LGBTQ plus friendly countries to live in for a long time. And that changed in 2017, 2018, when there was a proposed review of the Gender Recognition Act, which would mean that people could self-identify and that people who were non-binary could be legally recognised as non-binary. That pushback on that from J.K. Rowling, and well, she wasn't vocal about it until 2020 is where she got involved, but now she's like queen of the gender critical army.
Queen of the see you next Tuesdays. I mean, I don't even know whether, I mean, I don't care about that word, but I'm not going to say it. But she's
No, I
the
know.
queen of
And
see you next
actually,
Tuesday.
well, just that image of her gloating with her cigar on her yacht, going, I love it when a plan comes together. I know people who don't care a toss
Doesn't
about,
she have a trans child? Isn't that why
I
she's
don't
like
know, but I'd
I
like
think
just
she does.
like, I know people who don't.
Elon Musk does as well, and Elon
Yeah,
Musk disowned the child,
yeah,
and
they
it's like,
do.
what the fuck?
I
I mean,
I
I
know a
can't.
load of people who really don't even think about it, and who've always been like, yeah, Harry Potter's all right. Just that cigar blinking shot, they're like, that's it now. No, that's just not nice. No
No,
matter how you feel about it, gloating when you've won isn't a good look, is it? And she
it's
hasn't won
gross.
anything, actually. All that the so-called ruling to make things more to clarify things has done is really confuse people. So it's all a bit of a mess. And like you
It
said
is.
about the disability stuff, actually for the last 2 weeks, I've been really shouting loudly about allyship and inclusion, and specifically around the gender issue, but more broadly around that, which is work I've always done, but I've been really focused on it the last couple of weeks because feeling like you're doing something about it helps.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. And I've always been an ally. I
Mm.
have since as long as I can remember. I've had non-binary and trans friends.
Mm.
Even going back to college, thinking about people that I knew at college who were either they were experimenting, or they were queer, or they were kind of going like quite publicly open about that sort of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
thinking back to those people, two of them are trans, two of them are gay, one of them's non-binary, and I'm like, these are the people who I was hanging out with at uni and at college. They're always people who have been around me.
Yeah.
And I think from that perspective, I've just grown up being an ally. Like, I mean, I never sort of woke up one day and went, right, I'm going to be an ally. It's like I had so many people, and it just always felt really normal to me. Like, and I would say
Yeah.
normal in a stereotypical kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not.
Um,
Yeah.
and then when I went to uni, we all experiment, don't we? And I had my dibble dabbles with my sexuality and those kind of things, and came out, and I ended up marrying a man. But I genuinely think that I am pan, if anything, because there have been women that I've loved before, and I think it's one of these things where, like, people think it takes a lot to be an ally, and it really doesn't. Like, there are some people, and I think at the moment, I totally get this from a visibility perspective, and I was speaking about this quite openly in my group. There are lots of people who are scared to be visible and scared to speak up about all of these things.
Yeah.
If you're not scared to speak up about it, do.
Yeah.
If you are, support the people who are doing it. That's kind
Yeah.
of my view on it.
I think you're absolutely right, Maddie. And I always, when I'm advocating how to be a good ally, I always, and also how to exist as a person who's marginalised, I always say safety first. It's really important that
Absolutely.
you take care of your well-being, because you're not going to be any use to anybody if you burn yourself out or get hurt
No.
by standing up for something. You need to survive to fight the
This is
long term. This is
exactly.
not a sprint, it's a marathon.
It's not, and this is exactly why when I got invited to go on Big Brother this year, well, not necessarily invited to go on. I'm not going to get
Yeah.
that big-headed and say they
An
chose me, I'm
invite
going
to
to do it.
apply. Yeah, I know what you mean.
They invited me to apply, and I was really excited because I'd actually always I always have wanted to be on TV, but I want to be on TV for my own merits,
Yeah.
not for being thrown under the bus. And I mean, this year has been very much a press throwing me under the bus type of year. And I know that the reason why they're inviting me on is because I'm opinionated and I'm not scared to talk about things that I believe in. But annoyingly, all of the people that watch Big Brother are the sorts of people who potentially would, I would just be like the person that they all hated.
Yeah.
I would be the disabled ally that everybody, throws under the bus, and the opinionated one. And it's also, you can't, like, when I do press interviews, and the article comes out, and I'm like, I didn't fucking say that, but
Mm.
it's in quote marks, and I'm like, they've just taken what I've said really out of context and they've twisted it round. They've used their own words around it to
Yeah.
make it look worse than it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what TV producers do.
They do. They're there to make television. They're not there to. I mean, I auditioned. I won't tell the story because it's kind of a one for mates, really. But I did audition back in the day as the drag queen for Britain's Got Talent, and all that taught me was they're not interested in anyone's talent, really. Not, and that's not me saying I was talented. It was just listening
sure
to
you
other
are,
people.
though.
Well, yeah, but like I was listening to auditions backstage, and there were people who were amazing who got nowhere, and there were people who were a good story who got all the praise and all the love and put through to the next round. Regardless of, it's not about talent. It's not a talent show. It's
No.
a who's got a good story show. It's television.
I mean,
And
that's the thing, though. It's all about, like, every single thing about visibility, even TV. It is about the storytelling. Like, I always say this on, like, for business, if you're going to be visible, it's about the story you tell. It's about the positioning, but it's also about the ethics, the values, the belief system, all of the things that you talk about, like the consciousness, the consent, like, all of those things. Anyway, I haven't even asked you the question I actually am supposed to ask people who come on this show. So we need to take a little detour on this.
okay.
What is your money story?
Ooh, my money story is that it's taken me a really long time to not see money as evil and shameful.
Yeah.
My family history is I grew up fairly comfortably, not like rich, but like middle class comfortably.
Yeah.
But my parents didn't, or certainly my mother didn't. She was brought up in poverty, and they wanted for their kids the things they never had. Of course they did.
Yeah.
However, for whatever reason, whether it was my neurodivergence or whether it was the values that from my mum's religion, like she's a practicing Christian, I'm not, about kindness, relentless kindness, and all of that stuff. I've always had a really strong sense of social justice. So I used to be, borderline a communist. I've kind of settled on somewhere around anarchy now, but actually I don't like the labels. The labels are irrelevant.
Yeah.
The point is the values and beliefs that you have. And so the advantages and privileges that I have and had, including having a comfortable financial background when I grew up, gave me a kind of sense of that's something that I don't want to sort of go, yeah, I've got money. I'm really, like, so I was kind of like, there's some virtue in being poor, and like, I have been an artist. I've been, I've survived on benefits, all of that stuff. I've had times in my life when I've been more financially comfortable than I am now, and times, less so. And where I've come to, and a lot of what I'm doing in my business actually, is working with people on anti-capitalist money mindset. Because that thing that says, in order to be a good person, you can't be charging a lot of money for what you do. If you're a good person, you'll give it all away free or do it all super cheap because that's being a good person.
I feel seen.
Is capitalism.
Yeah.
Keeping you in your place, keeping you struggling, keeping you small. And actually, what you do is an exchange of value.
Yeah.
And that value is about working out what you offer and what the people who you're offering it to can give you back. And that may be money. It may be, in our case, we do a lot of kind of reciprocal coaching-y stuff. Where, I don't pay you for a lot of coaching and you don't pay me for a lot of the things that I've offered you. And that's great. That's great. That's like informally bartering. And it feels kind of anti-capitalist to be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But equally, if I'm going to join your program that you've priced up at a price that's totally fair, then I'm going to expect to pay for that like anyone else, and the same the other way around,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of the people that I work with in business coaching, because I do that as well as a lot of other things. A lot of those people are people who are purpose led.
Yeah.
They're in business because they want to do something world changing. They want to help
Yeah.
people with something. They want to make the world a better place, and they're trying to be an entrepreneur about it. Sometimes they're people who are coming from a not-for-profit background or from an arts background, because that's a lot of my background. And it's really getting them to unlearn the help me funding body. I need to fill out a form and justify my existence kind of way of being, and go, actually, I know a lot of stuff. I'm good at a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm clever. I have knowledge. I have value to offer, and it's worth being paid for that. That's commerce. It's not evil, dirty money capitalism.
Do you know
We
what?
should all be able to be comfortable.
Yeah.
We should all be comfortably off.
We should. And I have a thing where I struggle with people who say charge your worth, because I know I'm worth a shit ton more than what I actually charge. My thing is, like, one of my really big values is financial inclusivity.
Yeah.
Because when I was first starting my business, I couldn't afford to speak on big stages. I couldn't afford to join memberships. I couldn't afford to pay for coaching. Now, obviously I can. But at the same time, I'm like, I want everything that I do to be inclusive or as inclusive as it possibly can be to anybody that wants to access it. So when I'm doing Visible Fest, I'm like, it's free for people to speak. It's free for people to come.
Yeah.
People are like, how the fuck are you making money, Maddy? And normally it's through sponsorship.
Yeah.
This time round, have I been able to secure a sponsorship? Have I fucked? So I'm making naff all money from this festival. However, I know that people will want to buy the recordings. It's cheap to buy the recordings. I'm going to encourage people to buy the recordings, because actually there is loads of value, and you can't be on 3 different stages at one time, as much as we'd all love to be.
Yeah.
So I know that I will sell some there, but it's also about my visibility. It's about bringing new people into my world.
Yeah.
I know for the sake of me not earning any money for those 2 days, I'm going to get new clients into my world.
Yeah.
And that's going to be absolutely great.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to help lots of other people to get more clients into their world.
Yeah.
Just to tell their stories, to have a platform to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And eventually people will be like, that Visible Fest is really fucking cool. And it's going to be like the new Atomicon. And everyone's going to be like, yeah, we love Visible Fest. And then I will have no problem getting sponsors whatsoever, and it will be fine.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm just going to muddle along through, and it will be fine.
Yeah.
But it's all about financial inclusivity for me. The reason why my membership is so low priced is because it's all about helping people who can't afford to pay for the people who are charging like 10, 20 grand to coach them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I'm any less good at the coaching. It doesn't mean I'm any less good at what I do. I hope. But I just
you're very good at what you do. You're very good at what you do.
but I charge realistic prices for my audience, and I know that they're all people who are like either at the beginning of their journey, they've had a bit of a blip, they're struggling, and because I want to have that thing where I go out into the world and I do good. Mad About Money has always been free. When we relaunch it, there is going to be a paid option, much to my disgust. I'm like, ugh, gross. But no, there is going to be a paid option, which is going to be like upgraded access to me and like monthly money coaching calls and stuff like that. There is also going to be something that I'm working on, which you're the first person to know about this. It's very exciting. I am going to have verified experts within the app who you can ask questions of, and those verified experts get like special privileges, and they get group coaching with me. So basically it's like a mastermind, but it's like an advertising mastermind.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's that sort of collaborative way of working, where we're not just like, that's the shift. Like a lot of the shifts, and I teach this in my main program, the Value Exchange, is it's a mindset shift that is from extractive people as leads, people as, people you've got to bait and hook in and then nurture and then
I saw your
convert.
video about the lead magnets, and
Yeah,
they
I mean,
also,
there's nothing inherently wrong with lead magnets, but for me, they set up a mindset of, I'm trying to get people, as
yeah,
leads and put them on my list and then convert them. Whereas I would rather be thinking about, I want to share my ideas and invite people into my world. And then when they're on my mailing list, I can make offers to the ones that value it and that can afford it.
yeah,
And here are the offers. I'm not trying to convert or manipulate or coerce or hoodwink anyone into anything. And I
yeah,
think that a lot of the ways we talk about stuff in business come from traditional capitalist values and mindsets. So
do,
the
yeah,
language of it sets up a mindset of, I'm trying to get something, when
yeah.
actually you're not. You're trying to help
It's about
people. You're trying to
serving.
serve people. You're
Exactly.
trying to
I've just
connect
realised
with
the T-shirt
people.
I'm wearing.
Nice one. Yeah.
It's like considering what we were talking about earlier. I love that.
Yeah.
So
So
go on. So
yeah, no. So with the value exchange, one of the most powerful modules in it. It's the first time I'm running it at the moment, and the module I did last week, everyone's like going, "Oh my god, that's totally like reframed everything." Is about thinking about the mindset that comes with capitalism and thinking about the alternatives from a consent lens.
yeah,
So, for example, in capitalism, you are constantly looking to grow. You want
mm,
more and more and more and more. Oh, I've got a 6-figure launch. Oh, I've got a 7-figure launch. Oh, I've got a bigger and I've got a bigger. And that's the mindset of more and more. And it becomes money driven.
mm,
Whereas actually what's driving me is I want to share my message with more and more people.
same.
And I want to do that in a way that is sustainable. Now, I
Yeah,
can't do it for nothing because otherwise I'd be running a charity, and that's
yeah,
fine. People run charities, but I'm not running a charity. I will always look for, like you, having, low ticket things, accessible free things. I'm not saying I won't give away freebies. I will give away freebies, but I won't be like going, you have to come on my email list in order to get this from
no.
me.
I've just got like in my stand store, I've just got like a load of freebies, and
Yeah.
like I don't promote them. I don't
No.
say, hey, come and join my email list. Like you can get this and like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Blah. I just occasionally put out a thing that says like, do you know what? Like I give a lot of stuff away for free.
Yeah.
Mad About Money is a freebie.
Yeah.
Mad About Money is my biggest lead magnet. It's my
Mm.
most expensive lead magnet as well. In fact, I always said, like lead magnets should definitely not cost you anything, and mine has cost
Well,
me thousands of
here's my example of I accidentally created a lead magnet a couple of weeks ago when the UK Supreme Court ruling happened.
yes,
The day after, I went, I want to run a webinar because I'm hearing people wanting to be allies and not knowing how to do it.
yeah,
I'll run a webinar on that. I don't want to do it on my own. I'll ask G. Sabini Roberts, who's awesome,
we
if
love
they'll do
G,
it with me. They said yes. I asked a few other trans, non-binary people if they wanted to speak, and a few of them said yes.
love
I
it.
put the webinar up online, and in under 24 hours, nearly 300 people signed up.
Wow,
Now, I didn't do a lead magnet, but I've got 300 more people on my mailing list because of
yeah,
it, who are people who are interested in what I've got to say about allyship.
exactly.
I'm not looking at them as, oh, great, I can make money out of them. I'm looking at them as people who are interested in what I've got to say about allyship.
And they're
And if
people,
I'm
they're coming into your
running
world.
courses about that, then some of them
Yeah,
will pay for them. Great.
exactly that. And I think like for me, I teach so many things. Like a
Mm,
lot of people don't know half of the things that I teach.
yeah.
It's not just money, it's not just TikTok, it's not just
No.
visibility, it's not just sales. Like I have
Mm,
got like a wealth of business knowledge.
mm,
I've been through pretty much every single business or money situation that there is going.
mm.
You only need to read my book, Mad About Money, #shameless plug, to
I've got
let's
my
put it as
copy.
background.
I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I've got my copy.
Well, when you do, you'll see that I am not a one-trick pony, and I do actually have a lot of experience with a lot of different things.
Mm,
And I think one of the things that people don't know about me is how versatile I am. And I think that's where Visible Fest comes in. Visible
Mm,
Fest is my way of growing my audience,
mm,
but it's growing my audience so that people come into my world so that they can actually see what I'm like
mm.
as an actual human.
Yeah.
People see me online and they think they know me. And to be honest, they do, because I show
You're
up as
online
me
a lot, and
online.
you show up as you.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's never anything that, I don't like. I go on podcasts and people are like, "Oh, is there anything you don't want to talk about?" I'm like, "No." I'm like totally an open book, and like I think Mad About Money is literally an open book. It's
Mhm,
all about my life and all the crazy weird things that have happened in it.
mm.
But it is also something that's going to help you with your money, your business situation, your brain, your body, your attitude, your life in general. That's
Mm,
what it's kind of there for.
mm.
It's not a podcast about me, that's about you. I tell you what I want to know, though. I want to know about the consent compass.
Okay, yeah, the consent compass. So I founded the Day of Consent in 2018, and I've been on a real journey with really understanding what consent is and what it means. Most people, the minute I say the word consent, they think I'm talking about sex, or they think I'm talking about data protection and ticky boxes.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not talking about either of those. Although those are
They come
examples of
under it. Yeah,
consent.
yeah,
Um, I'm talking about how we make decisions, how we use our agency, how we are accountable for those decisions, how we stay ethical.
yeah.
Ethical could mean bloody anything, whereas consent, for me, is the place where you're moving forward and the decisions you're making and the actions you're taking are safe enough and comfortable enough for you and the people that are involved or impacted by them. That's what
Love that.
consent is. So it's this ongoing practice of consent. And the consent compass um, is a model I've come up with to help people to navigate those relationships, whether it's in business, whether it's in interpersonal relationships, parenting, your relationship with yourself, all of that, to kind of like keep in mind what are the factors to balance.
Yeah,
So a really, really super swift explanation of what the compass looks like. Do you want to hear it?
yeah,
Okay. So the center of the compass is you and your agency and your ability to make choices. The compass is always pushing towards consent, as I just described it, this place of connection, of mutual comfort and security. And the outer casing of the compass is accountability. So you're using your agency. You have children have less agency than adults, for
yeah.
example, and they have less accountability for their decisions. As a parent, you're accountable for what your kid does and for their safety and so on. As adults, theoretically, our accountability and our agency should ideally be in balance.
Yeah.
And where they're whack out of balance, where you've got loads of agency and you're not being accountable, you're probably not in consent. Or
Mm,
where you're taking on way more accountability than you should be for the amount of agency you've got in a situation, you're also out of balance when it comes to consent.
I've definitely had that recently, for
Yeah.
sure. Like,
And
you know,
then
and it,
sorry, and then so that's that balancing thing of
mm,
I've got freedom. We've all got freedom, and that we must have to ourselves out of the choices that we can make. But actually, most of the time, there's nothing that you absolutely have to do. You could choose
mm.
not to put your bins out. It would, you could go, fuck it, I'm not putting my bins out. Sod
I
it,
love
I'm
the
not
fact that
doing
you
it.
think I'm the sort of person that puts the bins out. That's James's job.
Well, how very traditional of you.
It's how very lack of executive function of me.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I
that's
know.
what it is.
But like, I don't live with anyone apart from my teenager, and my dog, so I have to take the bins out. But
Also,
do I
James
have
does
to?
all the cooking, all the cleaning. There's no like gender stereotypes in our family, like at all.
Good, I'm glad
Like,
to hear it.
yeah,
But yeah, there's nothing that you absolutely have to do. You could, whatever it is, that you're going, I must do that, I must do that. You could go, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do my VAT return. Fuck it. I'm not going to do my this. Sod it. It
Don't
will have
mention that word again. I'm still really like, my shoulders are still up here. I've spent the whole morning doing my VAT return and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, it's my first one as well. And I feel like maybe that's why it was so painful. I feel like
I mentioned it because I knew it was on your mind. Like, you could
was.
have chosen not to do it, but of course, choosing
Then I'd
not
got fined and
exactly.
yeah.
The outcome of you choosing not to do it meant you choose to do it. And there is a choice there. It might be between a rock and a hard place, but there's a choice. And sometimes just noticing that you've got a choice makes a difference.
Yes.
Makes you feel a little bit better about it.
And weirdly, do you know what? Yes, it was painful. And the reason why my VAT return was painful was because it's admin. And for me, admin is like literally my nemesis. It's like my crucifix to the heart. Like, I hate admin with a passion.
Yeah.
And because it's my transactions, it's not something that I can pass on to somebody else because I have to know what it is that I've spent. And trust me, there were loads of things that I was like, I don't know what that is. But I feel like one thing that I've been talking about recently is celebrating paying things that you don't want to pay.
Yeah.
So if you are paying, like when I first got VAT registered, I was like, oh, I'm VAT registered. This is the most horrible thing in the world. I hate it. I'm so cross with the world. Why? And then I was like, I'm earning enough money to be VAT registered. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can offset it with the things that I spend on, which is fine, and I reasoned with myself and I was like, okay, actually hitting the VAT threshold wasn't nearly as scary as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I've been putting away 20% into a little pot, and not most of the time not touching it. and actually, like, I've had loads of suppliers to pay in the last week, and every time I've paid one of them, I've celebrated it because it's getting it off my chest.
Yep.
It's that flow of energy, that flow of money, and it's always nice to pay your suppliers on time as well because they've done work for you, etc. And you're celebrating the fact that they're getting money, which is a lovely thing. And the more you celebrate that flow and you don't resent paying your bills, because if you're sat there and you're resenting paying your bills all the time, you're actually going to get to a point where you might not want to pay them, and you have to pay them because like that's just something that keeps your life and your business ticking over. So reframe it and see it as what it is. We're gonna have to start wrapping up though because we've got 4 minutes. So I am going to ask you very, very quickly, where can people find you? Where's the best place to follow you?
Is on probably the best place to land is my everything page, which is at hdbb.bmore.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
All right, fine. It's irregular.org.uk, basically. Look for Irregular Jenn on all the socials and you'll find me, Jenn with a double N. And also look for the International Day
Naughty and Nice, is that?
You what?
Double N for naughty and nice.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm not very binary. I'm probably lots of both.
I love it. Like, I don't know where that came. I mean, that was quite witty for me. Occasionally it's in there. Well, it has been absolutely wonderful having you on. This is no way in hell going to be the last time that you come on this podcast. We're definitely going to have you back.
There's loads more I want to tell you about consent, and the campus has got loads more to it, and it's all cool. Yeah,
there is so much. But you're going to be starting your own podcast, aren't you?
I am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are. One of Jenn's future marketing plans is that they are going to have a podcast, and we're very excited about it. And I'm going to come on as a guest as well.
Definitely.
So we're
all the irregular humans, all the irregular people. I think am I calling it irregular humans or irregular people? I can't remember.
Irregular humans.
Irregular humans.
Yeah, awesome. The Irregular Humans podcast. That's what we're calling it.
And people who are fucking normal, not normal.
No fucking normal.
Their not normalness.
Normal doesn't even exist anyway. It's like
what even is that?
It's not anything. Jenn, pleasure to have you on. For everybody listening, if you haven't downloaded Mad About Money yet, go and do it. We have a new home. It is in the Heartbeat app. It's going to be really, really exciting. You can come and join for free, or you can join our upgraded membership, which is $2.99 a month. So absolute bargain. And you get to come and hang out with me and ask me loads of money or business questions. Also, if you, I don't think this is going to go out before Visible Fest, but you can buy the recordings for Visible Fest. They are, Jenn's speaking, so that's definitely a reason to come. And they're going to be £27. Also, buy my fucking book. And if you've already bought my fucking book, leave me a fucking Amazon review because I really need them. I still want to get a Sunday Times bestseller. I'm manifesting this. So anybody who's listening, go and check that out. Subscribe to the podcast, and we will see you next time. Lots of love.